It was a quiet little planet in a nondescript system, overseen by a dying yellow star. The system had no particular history, was well off any major trade or tourist routes, and rarely had any visitors. Many years before, an Imperial survey mission had made a desultory study and found little of interest. The science officer had duly noted that it was about 0.87 E size, had commensurate gravity, E-normal atmosphere, and sat 3 AU from its sun. The climate was tropical to subarctic, and the planet supported any number of thriving life forms. The top predator on land was a shy, cat-like creature that proved to be of no danger to anyone. There were also, quote, no beings of higher development observed, unquote. The planet was dubbed Survey World XM-Y-1134, and for several hundred years that was its sole name, although it was unlikely anyone ever asked. It got a proper name of sorts from a restless entrepreneur who built a mansion in the temperate zone for himself and his hangers-on, then briefly toyed with the idea of turning it into a remote resort. To this end, he had constructed a state-of-the-art spaceport. Whether or not the idea had merit, no one would ever learn. The entrepreneur lost 3 or 4 fortunes and came to an obscure, rather sad end. But the planet didn't mind. It hummed and wobbled busily about its orbit, as it had done for several billion years, scratching its fur against a cosmic stump every few 100 million years or so, and wiping out any life forms that had become too prolific and giving another group a start. The planet's new name was Smallbridge. The source for that name was buried, along with the entrepreneur and his conceit. Sten liked it fine. He had spent more than 5 years exploring Smallbridge's beaches, marshes, broad plains and deserts, forests and ice flows, sometimes with eager companions, sometimes alone. There had been a few adventures, and more than a few trysts with lovely women. But nothing had stuck. He had encountered no one like the steel-willed Bet of his youth, or the relentless Lisa Haynes, or the fiery gambler St. Clair. In the last year or so, he had found himself just going through the motions of living. He had fallen into a dark mood he couldn't shake. During rational moments, he would rouse himself, give himself a good talking to, call himself all kinds of a rich fool of a clot. He had everything any being could want, didn't he? Gypsy Ida, his old Mantis teammate, had seen to that. He and Alex Kilgore had exited the Ton POW camp wealthy beyond their dreams. While they had languished in the Heath Slammer, Ida had rolled their ever-growing back pay into one investment after another, until the result was 2 not-so-smallish fortunes. Besides the money, Kilgore wound up with the poshest estate on his heavy world home of Edinburgh. Sten got his own planet. Thanks a clod of a lot, Ida. Now what? Sten thought. Come on, don't blame the rom. As Mahoney would have said, don't be kicking over the milk the cow gave. Mahoney would have reminded Sten that he had plucked him off the factory world of Vulcan, a young delink, half a breath from being brain-burned. Mahoney would sneer and point out that Sten had crawled through the mud and worse, to rise from the ranks as an infantry grunt to a deadly Mantis operative, to the commander of the Emperor's personal bodyguard, to hero of the Ton Wars, and finally to admiral. He would brush over the oceans of gore Sten was personally responsible for, and tell him that he was still a young man and just needed to pluck his finger out and get back to business. But Mahoney was dead. Sten's old boss, the Eternal Emperor, would have laughed at him, poured a double shot of Streg to put blood in his eye, and sent him off to face a suitable enemy. It wouldn't matter much who the enemy might be. It would be enough that the beings were threatening the peace and security of an empire that had thrived for nearly 3,000 years. But the Emperor, too, was dead. The last time Sten had seen the Emperor, he had sworn to the man that his career in the military was over.